Okay? Kaya magandang by virtue of impedance, magandang gamitin yan kapag nasa design stage kayo kasi kontrolado pa ninyo ang procurement and everything. Okay? But this is the most economical one because you hit two birds in one stone. Okay? Because you're already buying it anyway. And how you determine that? Well, you just have to determine that sweet spot of transformer impedance. So mag-reverse engineering kayo na parang yung ginawa natin doon sa reactor. Again, consider higher 13.8 as a medium voltage distribution, so you mitigate the the high short circuit on the medium voltage side. Okay, because your power won't change, still be this voltage nyo. Dahil lumaki ang voltahe nyo, lilit ang current. Okay? But it has to be evaluated on a cost basis as well. Kasi a higher voltage equipment is also more expensive than a lower voltage equipment. So you should have a good balance. Ito yung sinasabi nating you should assess the system in terms of safety and of course in terms of cost and sustainability. Kasi mahirap naman mag-propose ng Cadillac na design sa kliyente nyo at hindi naman ma-afford ng client. Eh sasabihin ng client, shut down na natin yung project, hindi ko ma-afford. So you need to find a solution that will match the economic conditions of your client and the current economic conditions ng planta rin. Kaya ito yung tinatawag nating life cycle. You have to design based on the sustainability of the life cycle of your equipment. Okay? Sa ano po yun? Value improvement practices po yun. In terms of ground fault, you consider resistance grounding over solidly grounded systems. You cannot apply resistance grounding on systems na gumagamit kayo ng line to neutral loads kasi it will interfere and it will burn your resistor. Okay? So may tinatawag tayong low resistance grounding and normally sa mga 3-phase 3-wire po niyo gagamitin ito. Huwag po niyong gamitin sa mga line to neutral. Masusunog po yung resistor because it's not designed to carry load current continuously. Okay? You need a large resistor to do that. Mag-overheat po yun. Kaya minsan, yung mga NGRs natin, mayroon lang po silang 10-second rating. Normally, ang ground fault detection natin and tripping is within 1 second. Hindi po tayo lalampas ng 1 second. Kaya yung 10-second rating, sobra-sobra yon. Sa mga high resistance grounding where they're using 2 amperes, 1 ampere, 5 amperes, that is for ground fault purposes. Hindi po na-design yun para sa load. Okay? So, the advantages of using resistance grounding, and normally, sa mga hospitals, mahirap i-apply ito kasi ayaw natin mag-trip. But you should have backup systems in your hospitals too, right? Your sensitive electronic equipment should have UPS systems. So mag-trip man yung pinaka-main source ninyo, meron kayong generator. And then meron supplying power to your uninterruptible power supply units of sensitive electronic equipments. Kasi mga electronic equipments natin sa mga hospital, malilit naman na load yun eh. So meron kayong UPS, back up with a battery system, right? And then your UPS input can be connected to 2 sources through an auto transfer switch or a manual transfer switch. One will go to a generator, emergency supply, and one will go to so kung tutusin, wala naman ako nakikitang problema sa mga 3-phase 3-wires hospital na gumamit ng resistance grounding. Pero sa industrial, yes, very common na po ngayon. Wala na po halos kami, lahat ng planta na dinisign po namin dito is wala na pong solidly grounded, puro resistance grounded na po hanggang 480 to 600 volts. Pagdating sa mga lighting systems, yes, may mga line to neutral loads kayo. So you cannot apply resistance grounding there. But you're okay with connecting them solidly grounded kasi maliliit naman na yung mga ground faults doon sa mga line to neutral loads natin. Hindi na po ganun kalalaki. So okay lang na mag-line to ground sila solidly grounded. Okay? And at the same time, you don't inject those current to the grid. Dumadaan po sila sa effective ground return path conductors natin pabalik sa neutral. Hindi ka po katulad ng mga medium voltage equipment, nasa labas sila. So meron kayong ground grid. So normally, pag nagkaroon ng ground fault within those voltage levels, mag-i-inject ng current sa ground. So, dadaan sa grid, which is, yun ang magiging, magdedepende po doon yung inyong touch and step potential and your ground potential rise. So, it's better to mitigate that with an NGR para lumiit po yung current. Baka hindi nyo na kailangan ng mesh grid. Baka isang loop grid lang, okay na. Meron kaming substations all over the plant na naka-loop grid lang, hindi mesh. Why? Because naka-resistance grounding kami at 25 amperes. Yung iba is 50. So napakaliit nung current. Pag nag-calculate kami ng touch and step potential, napakababa nung napapalabas namin. So hindi namin kailangan ng mesh. Ang mahal-mahal kaya mag-dig and you put that mesh around. And then isa-size up mo pa na malaki kasi kailangan i-withstand niya yung ground fault. In that case, you don't need those anymore. And that's the beauty of NGRs. Okay? Smaller bonding, smaller grounding grid. The only problem with NGRs is that because the ground fault current is low, then your detection should use individual sensors and ground fault relays. Yun lang po ang added cost naman doon. Nakatipid kayo dito pero may added cost kayo dito. Okay? So, you have to look at it. Yung cost siguro is almost the same but you have to look at the reliability and safety. Kaya mas popular na po ang NGR sa mga industrial plants because they are able to sustain reliability. They are able to get the reliability and cost effectiveness of reducing the amount of copper against sa additional relays. Kasi yung relays naman, magde-detect naman yon. So that means on a high resistance grounded system, if one alarms, you know where it is. So mag-a-alarm lang yung NGR relay as a common alarm sa system and then papunta yung operator, hanapin na niya kung aling mga relay doon ang nag-lit. Okay? And then i-isolate niya. What are the other limitation? Yung kanina yung sinabi ko, di ba? You deliberately clip the current by not allowing it to race to half cycle para hindi na niya maabot yung peak. And you need a very fast clearing time. The current limiting fuses can do that. So, meron pong magnetic properties yung mga current limiting fuses wherein dito pa lang siya, paakyat lang pa lang po yung fault sa half cycle, na-interrupt na niya in less than half cycle. So ito yung tinatawag natin current limiting. So maganda po itong mga fuses nito if we are using them in branch circuits. Pero kung isi-series po nyo yan on top, magkakaroon lang po ng challenges sa protection coordination. Okay? So, minsan ginagamit din nila itong strategy na to rate to to attain a high short circuit capacity, interrupting capacity ng mga breakers. So ito yung tinatawag nating current limiting breakers. Kunwari, ano ba yung current limiting breakers? It's as good as a breaker with a series fuse on it. So ang nangyayari, they are tested and designed as a complete assembly by the manufacturer. So to give you an example, meron akong, kailangan ko ng 80 kA. That was a couple of years ago nung hindi pa uso yung mga high current, high interrupting capacity breakers noon. Ang ginagawa nilang Schneider Electric nung araw, pag nanghingi ako sa kanila ng 65 kA na breaker, ngayon may 65 kA rated breaker na talaga na walang fuse, okay? Non-fuse type. Dati, yung kanilang 65 kA is actually a 42 kA breaker. And then magsiseries sila ng fuse so that any fault current beyond 42 kA, yung fuse ang unang sasabog, uunahan niya yung breaker. So yung breaker, hindi na siya magti-trip. Yung fuse na agad ang magti-trip. And the way the fuse will trip is so fast that the current will not even elevate to beyond the 42 kA. So kung nakasense ng more than 42 kA, yung fuse ang magti-trip. Mapoprotektahan niya yung breaker. Pag may fault naman na below 42 kA, hindi sasabog yung fuse. Yung breaker naman na magti-trip. Kasi let's face it, depende kung ilan ang nakakonect sa system natin by that time na magka-fault, yun lang po ang magko-contribute kung ilan yung mga motor or ilan yung mga sources, right? So, that's how they do it before. And I think they're still doing it now for extra high capacity, like if you need 100 more than 100 kA, I think they're still using, we call this one series rated system or cascaded system. Now, you use this when you're dealing with existing systems also. So, imbes na reactor ang ilagay nyo, so anong gagawin nyo? Pwede kayo mag-series ng fuse. However, you have to explain to your client na mawawalan ng coordination yung mga devices. So, yung reliability may tendency na bumaba. Pero ano ba yung gusto nyo? Sasabog yung equipment or mawawalan kayo or magkakaroon ng protection coordination issue? Is it reliability or safety? So, mangingibabaw po ang safety. And then you always tell the client, okay, we will do this as a band-aid design for now to make it safe. But at the end of the day, you still have to plan to replace it. So, ginagamit po minsan itong strategy na to mitigate as a mitigation, as a temporary solution lang po. Okay? Because the reliability is impacted by it. But as a new design, you can use this. Kaya nga yung mga makita nyo yung mga medium voltage MCCs natin, it's a contactor fuse arrangement. And since they're just operating the motor, then it's okay to go with the fuse. Okay? Ang problema lang ng fuse tuwing sasabog, kailangan may spare ka. Ang breaker kasi nare-reset mo pag nag-trip. Okay? But I guess, pag nag-trip yung breaker mo due to a fault, you have to test it because you never know, baka yung kanyang insulation resistance bumagsak na. Kailangan mo ng palitan din pati, right? Kung nakakailang trip na yung breaker, wala na. Palitan mo na yon. Sigurado ko sunog na yung, unti-unti nang nasusunog yung, nade-degrade kaya yung breaker tuwing nagtitrip. Kung overload, okay lang. Pero pag nag-trip ng short circuit, ibang usapan yon. Kasi mataas na current, madedegrade yung life ng breaker. Okay? So, this is one. I'm not gonna, and then this is how you current limit. So, meron po tayong tinatawag na let-through current. So, ito po yung part na maximum, i-mitigate natin. Ito naman yung peak na ibabawas. Ito yung RMS na katumbas ng peak na yon. At ito naman yung peak na bago at saka yung RMS na bago. So kung meron kayong peak let-through curve ng isang fuse, in this case is 800 amp, so sundan nyo na lang po yung line na to. So itong peak is this. And then for this size of fuse, ito yung kanyang let-through. So ngayon, ito yung pinaka-reduction niya. So ngayon, kung i-intersect nyo dito ngayon, ito na yung panibagong peak nyo. From 200, naging less than 60 kA na lang. And then, ang panibagong RMS naman nyo, i-hit nyo yung curve na yon and then puntahan nyo dito. Ito naman yung panibagong RMS ninyo. Okay? So, this is how you use this curve. So, ito, series of curves po ito. So, makakakita kayo ng maraming ganyan and then marami pong ganon and kanya-kanyang rating. So, you have to select the fuse that will match your requirement. Okay? But again, you have to consider the fact that you will be losing coordination on your equipment. Ito naman po yung tinatawag nating current limiters or yung IS limiters, tawag namin minsan. Okay? So it's the same concept like the current limiting fuse. Only they're using the current limiters in buses. So normally, may case kami sa isang plant, meron siyang generation on in-plant cogeneration. And then dahil sa reliability, lumaki ang planta. And sabi nila, okay, magdadagdag pa kami kasi nagkaroon kami ng extra steam capacity. So sabi nila, because of that heat and material balance, kailangan na makaka-generate kami ng extra megawatts na to. Kaya lang yung in-plant generation nila is this much rated megawatts lang. So sabi namin, okay, sabi nung consultant, ng planta, we'll create a new substation and we'll put those 2 extra generators there, co-generators. And then kasi minsan ginagamit nila yung cogeneration po, nag-i-increase sila ng generators para yung kontrata nila sa utility hindi mag-increase for an increase in their load. So minsan nag-increase ang load namin, di lalaki ang hihigupin ko na kuryente sa utility. Lalampas siya sa kontrata ko. So ang gagawin ko, magdagdag na lang ako ng in-plant para i-cover yung extra loads ko. Ang problema naman, pag nagdagdag kayo ng in-plant, lalaki ang short circuit capacity. So in that case, nangyari po doon na na-underrate yung pinaka 13.8 switchgear nila, yung paralleling generator switchgears. In that way, ang naging solution is to put a IS limiter. Nakasiris siya doon sa bus. Para pag nagkaroon ng fault, sasabog yon, mai-split yung bus sa dalawa. So magiging isolated na yung dalawang generator, hindi sila nakaparallel po. Okay? This is one. And meron pang isang crazy idea na ginawa namin when I was in Saudi Arabia. Nagkaroon ng, again, it's about increasing the impedance again. So nagkaroon kami ng water, ano tawag mo doon? Wastewater plant project. Nag-upgrade kami ng existing switchgears. So nangyari, pinalitan namin yung existing na secondary selective switchgear doon. And we put a higher rated one. Nag-upgrade kami ng transformer din. Instead na 1.1 MVA, ginawa na namin 1.5/2 MVA. So totally wipe out namin. Pero the way we constructed it is inisa-isa namin. Kaya maganda yung double bus tie na breaker kasi na-isolate ko yung kabila habang ginagawa ko at tinatanggal ko yung kabila and we shifted the load. So it was good. Until one time, habang kino-construct na namin, padating na yung ibang equipment, then biglang nagkaroon ng project sa kabila. I mean, ongoing project na pala yon, and sabi nila i-implement nila after 6 months at binigyan kami ng bagong short circuit report. Pero yung aming report is localized lang dun sa substation namin. So anong nangyari, binigyan kami ng upstream short circuit report na lumalabas, lumaki yung level. At kapag in-inject namin yung level na yon doon sa aming design, ma-underrate na yung mga bagong equipment na binili namin. Kasi nga po, we were not able to anticipate na meron palang ginagawang ganun. It was a problem, it was a collaboration and correspondence problem between the two multiple projects, right? So between those multiple projects, hindi sila nag-coordinate. So hindi alam ng project engineer namin sa client side na mayroon palang ganun. So anong nangyari, critical yon kasi wastewater treatment plant eh. Hindi pwedeng naka-shutdown yon ng matagal. So anong nangyari, nabili na lahat, nandun na lahat, nagkaroon na kami ng value engineering, anong gagawin natin? First option, reactor. Walang space. Yung procurement time, matagal. Hindi aabot sa aming commissioning. Second, fuses. Oops, bago yung equipment. I-retrofit natin, walang paglalagyan. And secondly, ayaw ng reliability. May bago kang equipment, tapos unreliable yung isang piece of equipment doon, hindi pwede. Sira ang diskarte nila, right? Third, yung fuses, matagal din bago dumating. Hindi siya long lead item kasi 13-15 kb. Punta kami sa ABB, walang mabili. I-orderin pa daw sa sa Europe. So, sakit sa ulo. So ano nyo nangyari? Out of desperation, that's why when you do value engineering, the crazy idea might be the best solution. Ano nyo po ginawa namin? Using the impedance concept. Yung 15 kb cable na kumonekta sa pad-mounted breaker namin sa primary, coming from the generation plant. So yung aming pad-mounted is a Schneider Ringmaster, RMU siya. So anong nangyari? We calculated how much length of cable we need on the existing 15 kb cable that is currently terminated to that wastewater plant that we were upgrading at that time. And then nalaman namin by calculation na we only need 150 meters of that size. So ang ginawa namin, hinila namin yung kable, in-splice namin, nagpatakbo kami ng 75 meters papunta doon and then 75 meters pabalik. And dahil wala namang problema maghukay, dahil Saudi Arabia, puro buhangin, madaling maghukay, naglagay na lang kami ng post marker para at least alam nila na may kable kaming pinadaan at pinabalik doon. Then by calculation, na-prove namin na uubra. So hindi namin kasi nga out of desperation na hindi na uubra yung existing design. And ayaw naman namin magpalit dahil bago yung mga equipment. So we did that concept, okay? I'm not saying you have to do that all the time. It was the good idea at that particular moment. It's not a solution across the board, okay? But that is one way for you to think about increasing the impedance as well. So for the same size, we increase the length. Okay? So Balik tayo sa questions. Can you discuss shortly the impact of using limiters? Fault current limiting reactor that will allow momentary flow of high fault current until the reactance switches in. Any hazard versus advantages. Okay, what is this? Fault current limiting reactor as an alternative that will allow momentary flow of higher fault current until the reactance switches in. Any hazards? So ito ba yung siniswitch natin yung... Mr. Ferdinand, are you able to unmute your mic? If you can unmute your mic, then that would be great. So you can elaborate this. Because if you say until the reactant switches in, are we talking about reactors that are switch in and switch out? Can you unmute your mic? Gusto ko lang po maliwanagan sa question ninyo so I can probably answer it correctly. Sir Archie, can you check if Engineer Santos is able to speak out here? Or otherwise, you can type something here, sir, para at least maliwanagan lang po ako. Ano bang ibig yung sabihin sa momentary flow of higher fault? If you say momentary flow, are you saying that we're gonna switch in temporarily and switch it out if we don't need it? Is that what you're trying to get at? Sir Archie, can you facilitate? Yeah, I mentioned IS limiters a while ago, and like I said, the IS limiter is nothing more than a fuse itself, and sometimes it's a parallel set of fuses that has a sensors to it. So I wasn't able to elaborate the operation there, but in reality, that's the main purpose of it. It's again about current limiting by not allowing the current to reach its half cycle point. So gusto ko lang pong maliwanagan dito sa tanong ninyo. So ano bang ibig pong yung sabihin sa momentary anong tawag dito? That will allow momentary flow of higher current until reactance switches in. So gusto ko pong maliwanagan po yung part na yon. Ano pong ibig sabihin yung pong sabihin doon? So we're talking about reactors pala, not the IS limiters. IS limiters is a fuse, basically. The current limiting reactors is an inductance. Okay, so gusto ko lang pong maliwanagan yung unang question niyo. Are you talking about a reactor or you're talking about an IS limiter? Because an IS limiter is a fuse. Okay, so can you unmute your mic, sir, if you may? Hello, Engineer Archie, are you still in? Mr. Engineer Archie or Engineer Ed, can you facilitate so Mr. Ferdinand can unmute his mic or some sort kasi parang
Ferdinand
hindi siya.
Santos, Engineer Beltran. Santos, Ferdinand Santos.
Are you Ferdinand Santos?
Teka, ang hosting kasi na kay Engineer Archie eh. I cannot hold it.
Oh, where is Engineer Archie then? Missing in action.
Yeah. Engineer Archie.
Nako. Mukhang nawala si Engineer Archie, nawala yung hosting natin, host natin. Okay.
Sir, sorry, nagkaroon ng problem yung nagkaroon ng problem yung computer ko, naghang. Sorry, sir.
Okay, can you unmute Engineer Santos kasi may tanong siya dito. Gusto ko lang pong maliwanagan yung sa question po niya.
Okay, sir. Give me a minute, sir. Bumabagal yung computer ko. Sino, sir? Anong pangalan?
Si Ferdinand Santos.
Yeah, even my phone is my PC is hanging.
Magkalapit lang tayo, sir, eh. Kaya pag mahina ka, mahina din ako eh.
Mahina internet natin.
Engineer Santos, can you actually explain can you explain what you mean by will allow the momentary flow of higher current until the reactance switches in? So gusto ko lang maliwanagan itong tanong niyo, okay?
Engineer Santos, you can unmute your mic now and you can speak to Sir Prime.
Yes, sir. Can you
Oh,
hear me,
there you
sir?
go. There
Yes,
you
sir.
go.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good
Sorry,
evening
I
na
might
rito.
cause confusion.
Good evening. Good
Good
evening na
evening
namin
pala
dito.
sa'yo. Oh, sorry.
Pakiliwanag lang po to, sir. Parang hindi ko lang, baka magkamali lang ako ng interpretation.
Yes, sir. I saw your, you mentioned the IS limiter to separate two buses, di ba, sir? So that the
Yeah.
fault current will be. I was under the impression that when you activate the IS limiter, aside from opening the fuse, there will be a reactor that will replace it, so that the operation it may operate fast enough so that when that fuse opens, there will be no tripping, but the fault current will be limited. The buses will be, for example, divided. Instead of being one bus, it will become.
Well, for all practicality purposes, sir,
Yes,
if
sir.
we're going to do that, then why should I put an IS limiter? Then I will just put a permanent reactor there, right? So, right? If I'm putting two equipment that will serve the same purpose, then just put one equipment, because the more equipment you put there, you complicate the switching itself. And switching and bypassing a reactor is one way. So both of them are trying to mitigate, right? One is isolating and one is permanently connecting and limiting the fault there. So I would say over the IS limiter, I would rather put a fixed reactor there, so that then I don't need an IS limiter. You cannot have you cannot have both, because now it complicates your system, right? The other thing is, there's also a practice that we do that let's say 5 ang generator po namin. Sabihin na lang natin 4. So dalawa-dalawa, right? Dalawa sa bus na to, dalawa naman sa bus doon. Naglagay po ako ng reactor dito. So may tiebreaker po ako. Kunwari.
Yes,
So pwede akong gumawa ng logic sa operations mismo using interlocks and everything, or even manually, na kapag tatlo lang yung generator na tumatakbo, naka-out po yung shorted out po yung reactor. And then the moment na magkaroon po ako ng umandar po yung 4th generator ko, magsi-switch in na ako sa reactor. So ibig sabihin yung reactor ko hindi laging nakababad.
Bypass by a breaker, sir?
Yeah, bypass using a breaker.
Okay.
Ginawa na po namin yan sa isang power plant na may tie kami, dalawa yung bus. Pwede po yung gamitin yon. Yung IS limiter kasi, yan yung pinaka-quick fix. Kasi, let's say, hindi pa dumating yung reactor nyo, pero paandarin nyo na yung system, or siguro walang space para maglagay ng reactor. So, ang nangyayari, pwede kayong maglagay ng IS limiter. Ang problema lang sa IS limiter, i-split niya yung bus dalawa kapag nagkaroon ng fault. Okay? Yun lang ang magiging repercussions po nun. But it's also a solution. But you cannot have an IS limiter and a reactor at the same time. If you want to put a reactor, then probably you have to put that in series to the generator itself, not to the tie. Doon na lang sa mismong contributor, yun na lang ang ilimit ninyo. So pwedeng maglagay, kung ang nagiging cost ng under rating ng current is because of those two generators, then you may opt to put 2 reactors in series on each one of them. Para mas maliit yung reactor nyo, mas marami lang ang equipment na i-maintain. Or maglagay tayo sa tie na meron kang bypass, para pag dalawa lang yung tumatakbo, normal yung fault current, edi bypass mo yung reactor. Pwede rin pong ganun. Okay?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
No problem, sir.
Nice.
Ano pa? Okay. Ako, gusto ko rin tinatanong ako. Minsan di ko na rin maalala yung mga iba. Kaya tumatanda na rin ako. Okay. If we go to, anong time na, Sir Archie?
It's 10:51 a.m., sir. Here.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So, 9 minutes na lang. So mag-extend man tayo siguro ng 10 minutes over the 11 o'clock kasi may Q&A tayo. Okay lang siguro. Okay. Other things that I need to discuss is management of data in conducting short circuits. Okay. When you conduct short circuit calculations, we have to make it sure that you have a good housekeeping on all the data that you are using. Okay. So kung meron kayong nameplates and everything, you have to compile all of them and put that under an appendix that says reference data. So under reference data, you have to classify validated, which is yun yung nasa datasheet, nameplate, or whatever. And then the other one will be assumptions. So yung assumptions po na yun, yan yung mga typical. Yan yung mga tipong wala kayong hard data, walang validated or certified data. Kumuha lang kayo sa catalog or kumuha kayo sa library ng ETAP, pwede nyo i-declare one time yon na these are library data from ETAP. Or nakuha nyo sa catalog or say base sa experience nyo. You have to separate that and you have to call it assumptions. Okay? Hindi po siya holds, iba po yung hold. Pag hold ang information, hindi mabibili and hindi mako-construct yung installation kung may hold. Kailangan ma-clear yung hold. Bakit? Pag nakita ng contractor yon, mag-RFI yon, magre-request for info kasi naka-hold eh. Anong gagawin namin dito? So ganun din po sa ETAP. Ang assumptions is assumptions, hindi po siya hold information. Okay? So bakit po natin kailangan i-separate yon? Kasi kailangan malaman ng client natin or yung kanyang consultant na meron tayong inassume doon dahil wala tayong information at the time of study. So anong gagawin po nila? It is their responsibility na later on i-validate yon. Okay? So ano ba yung cost ng hindi natin makuha yung info? Kasi binibili pa natin yung equipment. So mag-a-assume tayo. And then later on, i-revalidate natin once nakuha natin yung data. And kailangan sa kontrata ninyo, magkaroon naman kayo ng konting 10% na rework. Okay? As much as possible, yung mga normally naman pag mga short circuit o mga power system studies, it's okay to assume. Hindi naman siya ganun kalayo sa magiging reality na magkokos siya ng rework or magkokos siya ng replacement ng equipment. Okay? So, kailangan pa rin natin siyang i-segregate and i-record kasi po later on yung report ninyo in the future gagamitin po ng ibang tao. So kailangan alam din nila na doon sa unang study meron mga assumptions doon na by the time na sila naman ang magte-take over na gagawa, assuming na hindi kayo nanalo sa bid, sila naman ang gagawa, at least sila alam nila na assumptions yun. Now may chance sila na napuntahan yung installation para i-revalidate yung info. And then yung assumptions na yun, paliit ng paliit hanggang mawawala na siya. So kailangan importante po yun na maging transparent tayo. Okay? The other thing is we need also to, when we do the short circuit report, we need to also provide a revision history. Kasi minsan kapag malaki yung project at nakakailang changes kayo, kailangan na mo-monitor po ninyo yung mga changes at sino yung nagbago, bakit nabago, at anong project siya nabago. Kasi kailangan po ng record. Okay? So kung hindi po natin gagawin yon, kung sasabihin ni client, ano ko, hindi ko kailangan yan, at least sa atin lang po. Kasi tayo yung magiging consultant, tayo yung magiging PEE, right? So later on, hindi interesado si kliyente ngayon. Pag may sumabog later on, magiging interesado yan. Kasi maghahanap ng sisisihin. So kailangan, pag pinatawag tayo sa korte at tinanong tayo, oh, hindi mali yung design mo, yun ang allegation, kailangan you have enough records para i-prove sa korte na you did your best and your due diligence at the time of study with the limitations and you have basis for it. Kasi kung wala kayong record, edi hindi nyo mapuprove na inosente kayo. Bakit? Wala namang design na 100%. There is no design in this world that can ensure 100% safety and 100% sustainability and reliability. Wala pong ganun. Kaya nga mo may tinatawag na risks. And yung risk na yon, at hanggat malinaw yon sa inyo at sa client at accepted yung risk na yon, then walang sisihan at the end. Okay? So we need to do a good housekeeping of our data. If you create a report and you put your seal on it, you need at least a copy of it para may records kayo. And like I said, you have to record it. Okay? Hindi po, at yung recording na yon is also to help you deal with your clients as a consultant. Kasi yung client nyo later on, oh Primo, may project ulit kami. magdadagdag naman tayo ng ganito. So kailangan yung existing na report ninyo na nagkaroon kayo ng assumptions, magiging chance nyo na yon para balikan yung planta at i-validate yung mga inassume ninyo. And then magkakaroon na ng mababawasan yung assumptions. Gaganda yung reliability. Magiging mas realistic na yung inyong calculations. Okay? Now, dealing with existing systems. If you're creating a grassroots or a greenfield project na everything is new, that's fine. Walang problema, right? You have full control of it. The problem is when you have an existing system, existing yung switchgear, may mga loads na siya nakakabit doon, may existing loading na siya, and then doon kayo kukuha ng feeder para sa bago nyong design sa inyong new facility. Which is, pagkabit nyo doon, contributions ng fault feed doon sa system. So kailangan, it's not only for you to study your new system and to make it work, you have to see the impact of your design to the other systems. It is not your job to mitigate the problem, but it is your due diligence and duty of care to your client to check if your new design and your new system that is being added to the existing system is going to impact the existing system. Why? The client needs to know. Hindi po tayo silo na may blinds po tayo na kabayo na nakatingin lang tayo sa design natin. Kung kino-connect natin siya sa isang existing switchgear, we need to see how much backfeed current is going there. And then ano po yung existing na fault current na nila doon. We need to estimate that. And then we will see if yung existing switchgear rated, okay pa ba yung rating niya. And that's good. Doon kayo kumabit. What about the other systems? Meron bang na-underrate doon sa kagagawan ng project nyo? Kung wala, good. Kung meron, then sabihan nyo yung client, Sir, we did our due diligence. We did our best to limit the fault current here, but it's going to, of course, pag in-evaluate nyo yung existing system, tignan nyo naman kung realistic ba yung fault na nandoon. Baka naman mali naman yung fault na nandoon, right? At the same time, it's always a challenge, right? Because it's not in your scope, but your client needs to know. And you can ask more money and you ask more scope to investigate the existing system. Hindi man nila papalitan yung equipment or maglalagay ka ng mitigation, at least gumawa ka ng report to say, dahil sa kagagawan namin na underrate itong equipment, ito yung mga options para ma-mitigate. And then let your client decide. But he has to pay for your extra work. Matutuwa pa yung client sa inyo kasi ang mangyayari parang hindi kayo hugas kamay. Tinitignan nyo rin yung, kumbaga you're taking care of them. Magkakaroon pa sila lalo ng tiwala sa inyo. Pag sinabi nilang, okay lang yan, we can deal with it at a later date, then you have to get their approval. Kasi mahirap yung verbalan. Later on, pag may sumabog talaga doon, at ide-demanda kayo dahil sasabihin nila, hindi niyo sinabi, pero sinabi niyo, wala kayong record. Wala kayong tinatawag na project decision notice. Wala kayong tinatawag na project decision record or minutes of the meeting na nag-agree sila, na pinirmahan nila, right? So you have to be very keen on documentation po. Because at the same time, yung kausap nyo, maaaring ma-terminate na siya or nag-lay off or lumipat sa ibang company, bagong consultant ang pumasok, hindi niya alam kung anong pinag-usapan nyo. Kailangan nyo ng record. Okay? Ngayon, kung sa ETAP, minsan sinasabi ko sa mga tao ko, okay, i-model nyo yung facility natin sa existing. But can you run a short circuit and load flow na wala yung system natin? Bakit? Gusto kong malaman kung anong existing na sakit ng system nila. And then kapag dinagdag ko yung akin, lalong lalala yun. Pero hindi ko scope. Bakit? Existing na yung sakit nila eh. So ngayon, hindi ko problema na dahil sa akin. Kasi existing na. Pero kailangan kong sabihin sa client yun, na may existing silang problema. At sasabihin ng client, paano ko ba i-mitigate? O sige, bayaran nyo ako ng extra, pag-aaralan ko, and then ibibigay ko sa inyo yung proposed solutions. Okay? So, hayaan mo, then magkakaroon ng level up na iba yan. Yung mga project manager, mag-uusap-usap yan, cost, everything, pag-uusapan lahat yan. Pero kung hindi nyo sasabihin, hindi nila malalaman. At pag hindi nyo sinabi at magkaroon ng problema later, magkakaturuan po. Okay? Reports and limitations, pinag-usapan na natin yan. Sinabi ko na kung ano yung mga dapat. Okay? Sa isang magandang report, kailangan flow, technical writing. Okay? Yung limitation, sabihin nyo rin. Sabihin nyo kung ano yung hindi nyo na-study. Dahil bakit? Hindi nyo na kayo nag-proceed further doon kasi hindi naman sa scope nyo, ayaw bayaran ng client. Sabihin nyo sa report nyo. Bakit? Yung report nyo magiging legal document yan later. You have to remember that anything that you seal and sign as a PEE becomes a legal document in court. Okay? So sabihin nyo kung may mga limitasyon sa study ninyo na hindi nyo chinek yun dahil wala kayong manpower, wala kayong oras, hindi kayo bayad, indicate nyo doon. Walang masama. It will save you legally later. Okay? May protection coordination application. So gusto ko lang sabihin, kapag kinakalculate natin yung mga bases, ang pinaka-withstand rating natin is based on total. All contributions. Protection coordination, it should be the actual calculated current that will flow to the device for a specific fault point. So kung yung breaker kanina, may fault kayo dito sa downstream niya, hindi po yung total current sa bus ang gagamitin nyo. Yung current na dumaan po doon for that particular fault, yung dumaan sa device, yung makikita ng CT. So yung branch current flow calculations natin sa part 1 is very useful. Okay? And other withstand rating. So ang hindi ko po na-discuss dito yung withstand rating ng cable. So nasa mga catalog naman po ng mga manufacturer. IEEE 242 is also having an equation there and a list of clearing times and temperature rating. So katulad ng XLPE, ang kanyang operating temperature is 90 degrees maximum. Ang kanyang short circuit temperature maximum is 250. And then ang clearing time depende sa breaker ninyo or sa protective device. So may mga standard na rin doon in cycles kung ano yung magagamit nyo. May equations po yon. So kunin nyo sa manufacturer ng cables yung equation, okay? Or yung kanilang tinatawag na damage curve, short circuit damage curves, okay? Again, duty of care, ethics, and short circuit studies, pinag-usapan na natin yan. Hindi na ako kasi limitado na tayo sa oras. How far would you go on IEEE method? I would say use it. Is the MBA method okay? I find it okay. Ginamit ko na rin po yan. Kaya lang, ginagamit ko lang yung MBA method as a thumbsuck. So kung hindi ako bumibili ng equipment, nandito pa lang ako sa pinakaunahan ng project na gusto ko lang mag-estimate, MBA method is fine. The only problem with MBA method is that you're not able to separate R and X. And because of that, you're not able to get the X over R, which you need to evaluate the interrupting, evaluate or specify the peaks or the close and latch capability and everything. Wala kayong X over R. Mind you, when you calculate your CTs for accuracy, you have to account for the X over R. Hindi po siya yung impedance times 2. May X over R pa po yun. Bakit? Kasi yung mga CTs nyo, na nakikita nila yung DC component. So may equation po yun sa IEC. I think in IEC, even in ANSI, they have an X over R included in the equations, right? So yun lang po ang problema sa MBA. Sa MBA method, everything is the same. It takes the lock rotor current, it takes the contribution, but it's not able to separate R and X. And in the MBA method, they use a fixed X over R, which is equivalent to 14, not 17, not 6.59, not 1.73, na mas mababa kaysa doon. So we have to be careful. MBA method for me is good when you're estimating, but when you're in detailed design, where you will be you're gonna end up specifying equipment or finalizing protection coordination or arc flash, you use the IEEE method. Now, IEC 6909 is also an equivalent. And what I would say, for you to, if you specify IEC equipment, you have to use the IEC method. If you specify an ANSI equipment, then you specify, then you use an IEEE method. If you use one and you specify both standards, then you need to see the difference between the two calculations. So unfortunately, I cannot, IEC 909 is not part of this webinar. So, and it's not, we're not able to accommodate that in this particular time, okay? But I think from part 1 to part 3, I did my best to provide you as much as I could. It is a broad subject. Marami pang pag-uusapan dyan. Meron tayong three winding, may single phase, meron pa tayong marami pang iba. But I think the basic foundation is already there. And then and it's not a replacement for you to go for the academics as well. You need to still know how to do symmetrical components, and this is just the practical side of things. So this ends my webinar, and thank you for patiently listening for the last 3 sessions. I tried to limit the information to fit with the hours that is available.